for joining us today. And now I'm going to introduce Chair Terrie Rizzo. I'm sorry.
She just gave me a promotion. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Democrats. So great to be here in Tampa with all of you today, and I thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate all the hard work that you do for the state of Florida every day of the year. Thank you all so much. I would especially like to recognize our elected officials joining us today. Senator Terrie Rizzo, Senator Francisco. Thank you so much for, and they work hard every day to make our state a better place for all of us. And I also want to recognize the activists and party leaders here today with us. We have Lydia Hudson, our Black Caucus chair. Ione Townsend, Hillsborough County, Democratic Party chair. And again, did I miss anybody else? Okay, so again, and all the VIPs, everybody else is a VIP here. Okay. Oh, excellent. All right, that's right. I look forward to having her with us too. With all of you and all the people here, we are going to flip Florida blue and make sure that we are talking to all the voters of our state this year. Florida Democrats are ready for 2020, and we're building the infrastructure that we need now to win. We have already begun efforts to build our party and to continue moving forward, and part of these efforts is to build a robust voter registration program to create the electorate we need to take back the White House and turn Florida blue. The Florida Democratic Party will register 200,000 voters before the presidential primary.
All right.
And if successful, Donald Trump will not have a chance in Florida. And Democrats will put a president in the White House. Florida Democrats have beefed up our investments in data and research. We partnered with national research and data firms to ensure that we are using cutting-edge data, modeling, and technology to register voters as Democrats and begin strong relationships with these voters. And we are making strong relationships, tech and data tools available to our county parties now so that they have the information, the training, and the resources that they need to register voters across the state, all county parties. We're also investing in boots on the ground now. Today, I am very excited to say that we are joined by fellows of one of our great programs this year, the Organizing Corps 2020. Fellows, please raise your hands.
All right.
These are our fellows among the first group of people, of young people, more than 90 organizers who, starting on June 10th, will begin registering voters, organizing communities, and building the infrastructure we need to win. More than half of our new organizers across the state speak Spanish, nearly 20% speak Creole, and 2/3 speak 2 or more languages. We have our eyes on the next generation and their great and vibrant ideas. Through our Organizing Corps program, we're not only going to train the future progressive leaders, but also include them on the voter registration activities that we have underway and organizing students on their campuses. And we are building progressive partnerships. Today, we are announcing a partnership with Florida Forward Action and Mayor Andrew Gillum. Mayor Gillum and Forward Florida. Mayor Gillum and Forward Florida are making a $100,000 investment to expand our voter registration efforts, and we have added our names to the many progressive organizations that are coordinating efforts with Forward Florida to meet the voter registration goals. In the past year, Republicans have stepped up their efforts to dismantle public education and environmental protections, women's rights, and have made Florida an unwelcome place for the immigrant businesses that help drive our economy. This is why we have our eyes not only on the presidential race, but also on flipping seats at every level of government. Right? And investing in voter registration and education is key to taking back our state.
That's right.
Because if we want our state to be more inclusive, to expand access to quality health care, to fund our public schools, and to keep our students safe, we need to invest in reaching out to new voters. Make sure they know about democratic values and how we can make Florida a better state.
That's right.
This is a statewide effort. We cannot do it alone. If we want to have a state that works for all of us, We need to come together and work for that change. So we're excited for Andrew Gillum and Forward Florida's investment in the party. Thank you, Mayor Gillum. And we will work to bring more Floridians into the democratic process. And we're really looking forward to the future, and together, we will make it brighter. It is my pleasure now to introduce Mayor Andrew Gillum. Thank you.
Start with a check.
That's
We'll do
fantastic.
more of it, absolutely. Now this one can't cash, but there is money behind this one that will cash.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Madam Chairwoman, for your leadership of our party. I want to thank, obviously, the elected officials who have joined us today, having just come out of a bruising legislative session. And actually, bruising is probably insufficient a term to describe the radical right-wing agenda that got pushed through this legislative session. Everything from arming teachers, to ripping away insurance, to transferring more and more of Florida's tax revenue into the for-profit private school industry, to the practical undoing of Amendment 4. A ballot initiative that received 65% support from Floridians, a ballot initiative that got more votes than I got, that got more votes than Governor DeSantis got, yet it took the Florida legislature under Republican leadership no time to begin to undo that process. Well, this week, actually just yesterday, I think we learned that in the 3 months since the implementation, January 8th implementation of Amendment 4, now in Florida's Constitution, although African Americans are estimated to be about almost 30%, but just under 30% of that 1.4 million, in the early 3 months of the implementation of Amendment 4, they were 44% of all registrations. We saw more registrations in those first 3 months than we've seen in a combined 9 years. So if there is any secret, and there should be none, as to why the Republicans were hell-bent on undoing and practically nullifying Amendment 4, is because they saw where the energy was. And if this was about making sure that every person eligible to vote got the opportunity to vote, then this ought to be bipartisan. And I believe its passage was bipartisan. And so we still, today, even as we stand here to declare what our intentions are for 2020, we call on Governor Ron DeSantis to do the right thing by the people of the state of Florida. And that is to make sure that the amendment that went through by 65% support from the people of the state of Florida, Republicans, Democrats, Independents alike, regardless of who benefits electorally on the other end of the election, this is the right thing to do. And we call on them to do the right thing by vetoing this piece of legislation. But now to the matter at hand. And the matter at hand is that Democrats are fired up and ready to flip this state blue in 2020. We have made a commitment toward registering and re-engaging 1 million people across the state of Florida to become voters and active voters this upcoming election, this upcoming presidential election. The implications, obviously, federally could not be more important. We cannot understate or even overstate Florida's 29 electoral votes. But y'all, we've also got business to handle right here in the state of Florida, from mayors to school board members, to state representatives, to members of the Florida legislature, the state senate. While I didn't make it, obviously, to becoming governor of the state of Florida, and I get why it is that people walk away when you lose these elections, I said all along the way, all along the trail, from the primary to the general, that ultimately this race was not about any one individual. This race was about who loses when we lose these elections. And the people who lose when we lose these elections were on full display over the course of this last legislative session. They know, and we now know well, the consequences of elections. And that is why in 2020, we've got to be more intentional, more serious than ever. And we got to start earlier than 6 weeks out from Election Day. Right? So here we are right now today to say that the race toward 2020 and 2022 and beyond begins today. This $100,000 check that we were pleased to write to the Florida Democratic Party, Madam Chair, is simply a down payment. All right? We've got a lot more coming your way and a lot more coming the way of organizations that are a part of our alliance to get 1 million people registered and re-engaged. In fact, today, in addition to the $100,000 that we are giving to the Democratic Party, we're adding to that another near $400,000 that is going to go to organizations all around the state who are working in black and brown communities, who are working in poor counties, who are working in marginalized communities, to make sure that we register those individuals. Y'all, these are the people for whom we stand in the path for. All right, we're here today not for ourselves. We're here today for a better Florida, and quite frankly, for a better country. We know that the road to the White House runs through Florida. But we also know that the road to getting fair districts also runs through the Florida House and the Florida Senate. There are 7 legislative districts that my campaign won that right now Republicans are sitting in. It's our goal to flip those 7 seats, but we're not going to stop with just those 7 seats. We're going to send some help to Senator Rizzo. We're going to send some help to Representative Driscoll. But we're also going to send some help to the 22 million people across the state of Florida who deserve a government that sees them, that hears them, and that reflects their values. We are the majority. We are the majority, and now we need a legislature that reflects that majority. There is no reason why 10,000 votes separated Senator Nelson from Governor, Senator Scott. There's no reason that 33,000 votes separated me and Governor DeSantis, yet you have a Florida House of Representatives that is so heavily weighted Republican. Does it make sense? No. It is a condition of elected officials choosing their voters rather than the voters choosing their elected officials. Well, let me tell you, in 2020, the decennial census will commence, and the legislature that is seated at that time will draw the next set of maps. Senator, we're for votes in the state Senate, away from parity and almost leadership. So we got to get out there and we got to fight for that. And so this effort to register voters, yes, is about turning Donald Trump out of the White House in 2020. We're committed to making sure that not only do we have a president that sees all of us and that respects us and has respectability politics and doesn't work to divide us and deride us, we're looking for a president who is qualified for the office that they hold, but we're also looking for representative leadership at every level of government across the state of Florida. My name isn't on the ballot, and that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the fact that all of us are on the ballot. Every one of our names, the names we know and the names we don't, are on the ballot because elections have consequences. And so we're asking for Floridians all over the state to not only join with the Florida Democratic Party, but to join with the many groups that are out there that are going to be working at the cross sections of democracy to engage, to register, to turn out, and ultimately to win in 2020. Is that all right? Are we fired up and ready to go? Are we fired up and ready to win? Well, together, y'all, let's flip the state of Florida blue November 2020. And let's flip this country blue in November 2020. God bless you and good luck.